What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, back again with another video. And today, you already know, you already see it. I have the OnePlus watch. And, man, I honestly, before anybody even asks, I have nothing but good things for the most part to say about this watch. Let's go over a little bit of the details here right quick. I love their attention to details here. I have the charger right there. Says OnePlus. Very slick device. This is the Midnight Black. The band is extremely comfortable. Very comfortable. There's all of your sensors right there. Nicely placed. Very elegant, I think, for the nature of this watch anyways, for what it is. Says OnePlus right there on the power button. If I can zoom in. Probably not the best, it's probably not being able to get that on the camera there. That's having a few focusing issues here. Yeah, that might help it there. I like that attention to detail there. See if I can try to get that again. But there's your booklets there. Sorry, y'all, I'm having some real bad focusing issues. But this watch has been has had a little bit of controversy. The day it was released in the U.S., it sold out instantly. When I ordered, I didn't even think that it was going to be that big of a hit. I mean, I had man, I really like I knew despite the reviews it was going to sell, despite the bad reviews. But I when I was ordering, excuse the stuttering, but when I was ordering, I had no idea that it was going to sell out within 4 minutes. And that's exactly what happened. And I mean, I did wait for the time to be able to order. I was glued to my phone. I was actually on break at work, waiting. I chose to take break at that very moment because I knew I wanted to get it. And, I ordered it as soon as possible so I could get it shipped out as soon as possible. It wasn't even because I felt like it was going to sell out in a matter of a couple of minutes. I mean, if it was going to sell out, I figured it would have taken a day or two. But, I mean, it sold out like just that fast within 4 minutes. I didn't even find out about it until like 45 minutes later when I was reading about it. There was a lot of people that weren't happy. So I was lucky. I was lucky because this was paid for with my own money. This wasn't sent to me. But there's a lot of reviews, a lot of bad reviews that are really knocking this watch. And a lot of those reviews were of reviewers that already had the watch for a couple of weeks and actually had an embargo on the review. They actually had to wait for the watch to release before they could actually, do their review, actually release their review. But embargoes don't stop these reviewers from already having their reviews recorded. They just can't make it live until, that embargo is lifted. And I have a feeling that has a lot to do with why this watch has gotten the bad reviews that it has gotten. The software wasn't final. It wasn't an actual retail unit. Because I think that those reviewers would have a different experience if they had actually gotten a retail unit. I could kind of see why Flossie Carter, who a lot of y'all know is one of my favorite reviewers, I could kind of see why he does what he does a lot of times. If you pay attention to his channel, you'll see that when he does get sent devices from the manufacturers to review, some of the times, if not most of the times or all of the times, he'll still purchase that device with his own money so that you're getting an honest review, from somebody who bought it from retail like I've done here. I don't think the OnePlus watch that he reviewed was one that he bought. I think it was one that was sent and he didn't go through the paces of buying it himself. He doesn't do that every time. He doesn't have to do that every time. I surely don't expect him to. But I know he's done it with other more high-profile devices, like some of the Galaxy S's. He did it with the Mi 11 Ultra. and I can't help but think that if he had his review for the OnePlus watch wasn't terrible compared to others, but I think even he would have had a better experience with a retail unit. Granted, I'm sure OnePlus pushed an update to those devices, to those watches, once it was released to retail. But again, an embargo doesn't stop these reviewers from pre-recording their reviews weeks in advance. It just stops them from releasing it until that embargo is lifted. And I truly believe that those watches got updated the day of their retail release when they already had their videos recorded. I mean, I get it. They have a ton of devices to review at one time, so I know why they do that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it too. Because my experience with this watch has been way better than than what a lot of them have said. It is true that the watch doesn't actually run Wear OS as previously rumored back all the way back to last year. And I'm sure OnePlus actually probably was working on a Wear OS watch. Their parent company Oppo has a Wear OS watch. So I mean, I'm sure it was in the making. And at one point they just decided not to do it. And I mean, heck, for all we know, they could still release a Wear OS powered watch, later. It could be the successor to this watch. It could be a watch they release in a couple of months from now. You don't know. But they have done a lot to the RTOS here, which is what most of these smartwatches that don't run a specific operating system like Wear OS, Tizen OS, or Apple Watch obviously has its own Apple OS from Watch OS from Apple. It's based on iOS, of course, but it's renamed to Watch OS now. After Watch OS 1.0 or whatever. But a lot of these run RTOS. The Red Magic watch, for example, which came out around the same time, runs RTOS, and it has Red Magic's own UI over it. And this is I kind of expected an RTOS with an Oxygen-like UI over it. But this is really more like the wallpapers are definitely very Oxygen OS like. They're very reminiscent. They remind me a lot of the wallpapers on Oxygen OS on the OnePlus phones. But the overall user interface is actually modeled after Wear OS. I mean, it works just like Wear OS. It's just a lot lighter. And you can tell it's lighter too, but you can also see the Wear OS influences in it as well. I mean, they've done a really good job, honestly, in my opinion. It's let's see here. See if I can get some of the watch faces here. Just a lot of really nice ones here. I really only have one big gripe, which I'll get to here shortly. But I just want to show y'all how this works here. Show y'all the system here. Like I said, it's very Wear OS like. It works great in my opinion, honestly. The only bad thing I have to say about it is that whenever you use digital watch faces, there's no way to change it from 24-hour time or military time, as a lot of people call it in the United States, to 12-hour times with AM and PM. If it's there, I can't find it. Rather, it's on the phone app or on the watch itself. If somebody has the watch and knows how to change it between AM, PM, 12-hour time, please let me know because I just can't find it. But that's my only gripe, But, you switch to an analog, you don't have that problem. It's just with digital. It won't, when it gets to 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and then when it becomes 1 o'clock, it'll go to 1300, 1400. You know how it is, military time. And I actually find that with a lot of these RTOS watches, but I also have had RTOS powered smartwatches that had the options. So it's not an RTOS thing; it's a manufacturer thing. Because the real-time operating system, which is what RTOS stands for those of you that don't know, has the capability of differentiating between the different times and stuff like that. It is a much smarter OS than you may think, than people give it credit for. It is an actual operating system. It's been, highly advanced the past couple of years, and OnePlus has definitely kind of used it to their advantage because they really have made it more of their own OS. I mean, I mean, heck, I think they could have gotten away with calling it Oxygen OS, without Wear OS. I mean, because Google doesn't allow much customizations to Wear OS as they do with the Android smartphone OS. They don't offer they don't let the companies really kind of customize them the way that they like to. The only Wear OS watch that I've used, and I've used a ton of them, that actually has its own customizations on top of Wear OS was the Xiaomi Mi Watch, that I actually do have on my channel. I reviewed it either in January of 2020 or it might have been December of 2019. But and it's to this day one of my favorite Wear OS powered smartwatches. And it you were able to use it with the traditional Wear OS interface, but Xiaomi also had its own interface over it. I guess you would call it MIUI possibly, but most Google doesn't really let the manufacturers customize Wear OS as much as they let them customize Android OS on the smartphones. And OnePlus could have really made this just purely, their own and just called it Oxygen OS, instead of RTOS. But really, it's RTOS with a very, very minimalistic Wear OS-like interface, and it works very well, very well. A lot of the gripes that people have in the reviews, I just don't see. This phone has not glitched out on me. This phone has not froze on me. The phone keeps a steady connection. I have used it on numerous devices, numerous Android phones. My only other gripe is that it doesn't work on iOS. It's not necessarily a gripe. It's probably a gripe with other people, because a lot of these RTOS smartwatches do work on iOS as well as Android. I mean, even your Wear OS watches work on iOS. So it was surprising to see that this doesn't have iOS compatibility, because I do know some OnePlus fans that are rocking iPhones, and they probably would have really liked this watch. I find that it recognizes exercising just as fast as the Apple Watch, and that's a big deal, because I haven't found a smartwatch that recognizes exercise, recognizes you exercising as fast as the Apple Watch. I haven't found any other watch that does so as fast as the Apple Watch. Trying to get my words straight here. Sorry, y'all, for the muffling and the stuttering. And it's weird because I found another watch at the same exact time that also recognizes you're exercising right away, like the Apple Watch. And I'll try to get a review of that out shortly. That is the TicWatch GTX. Or I'm sorry, not GTX, GTH. And for those of you that know, have seen some of my previous videos, I was not a fan of the GTX from TicWatch, my boy. But the GTH that just came out that looks like an Apple Watch, huge fan. It works very well. And just like this, it recognizes you're exercising quickly. Definitely as fast as the Apple Watch. I just, it's funny that I got them both around the same week, and they're really the first I've ever really been able to compare to the Apple Watch in terms of its quickness, to realize you're exercising. This has a lot of amazing sensors with it too: blood oxygen, skin temperature. I mean, this thing has almost every freaking sensor you can think of. And it's accurate. Your heart rate is accurate. I mean, I just the mileage while you're running is accurate. The watch is just beautifully designed. I mean, pictures, videos don't really do it any justice, because the glass on this, it's like a 3D glass, because it even where the screen ends, it's still one solid piece of glass, and it just slopes over. Like there's no separation, until you get to the side of the casing, and it's just a really, really well built device. Which, of course, a lot of the reviews haven't denied that. They do talk about how beautifully built it is, but they just say that it just works like crap. And that's just not true. This watch has been amazing. I have absolutely loved it. I have fallen in love with this watch. Definitely one of my favorite smartwatches of all time. It's great. And those of you that know me recently know that as big of a OnePlus fan as I was, I haven't been such a big fan of their phones the past couple of years, maybe even 3 years. I've kind of shied away from them, for Xiaomi, for example. But this watch is great. I have, the only, like I said, the complaint I had, I've already voiced it about the time, um, you know, um, setting it to 12 hours instead of 24 hours. Um, and that's it. That's it. I mean, you can change everything else to Fahrenheit. It doesn't have to just be on Celsius. So I really kind of figured it would be a way to change the time format as well. And I'm sure it's something simple that they can add to an update. It doesn't really have an always on display that a lot of people really like on these watches. And you know what? I did see one review that was a little bit more positive than a lot of the other ones. I saw a couple of them. They were still more negative than positive, but one of them that I saw that was a little bit more positive, the reviewer actually had a good point. I forgot who it was. Y'all probably already seen it. He had a really good point. As long as this watch, when you raise your wrist to look at it, as long as the raise to wrist, raise to face works, why do you need always on display? I mean, why should your display be on if you're not looking at it? As long as it immediately turns on when you turn your wrist to look at it, what's the difference? What's the difference? I forgot who said that, but when he said that, I never thought of that, and he's right. He's so right, so right. You don't even like what good is my always on this? I mean, unless I'm looking at it 24/7, does it really matter? As long as I lift, as long as the screen comes on when I lift my wrist to look at it, then I mean that's the same. That's just as good, And I never really thought of that. So that's why always on display is not a gripe of mine. The fact that it's missing here, but OnePlus is going to add that for those of you that do want it, that are big on it. I get it. I love always on displays too, but I just never really thought about it the way that other reviewer did, and I agree with him. But the battery lasts 3 days. That's what I've gotten off of it. And I'm a pretty heavy user. I do get a lot of notifications. I exercise a lot, so it's always recognizing exercises and running and stuff like that. But all in all, I have to give this a positive review. I've seen nothing but negative. This watch has been great, in my opinion. I do recommend it. I really do. I mean, if you buy it, if you're able to get your hands on it when it goes back in stock and you find that it does suck, and that you agree with the other reviewers, don't shoot me. But in my opinion, this watch has been great. Anyways, hit me up in the comments, y'all. Let me know what y'all think. And y'all will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.